And Hi, and welcome to That Board Game Show podcast. This is episode 17, and I'm Sonia Wood. And today in the studio, I have with me my son, James.
Hello.
There he is. And we're going to be talking to you today about a few things. First off, we're going to talk to you about Gen Con. We call it Gen Con because last year when Gen Con was happening, we had a board game weekend at our little cottage, and we called it the Gen Con weekend because it was all of us who couldn't get to Gen Con, and we really want to go to Gen Con, but we can't. So here we are in South Africa, and did you hear I said we can't? So that's why we called it Gen Con. So we made up for it. But this year we had a different type of Gen Con. Because last year, as I say, we were at the cottage playing board games all weekend. And this year we sat in the comfort of our lounge, and it's winter here in South Africa. So all cuddled up with a blankie and some hot chocolate or tea. And thank you, Ray from CGE, because she took us on a virtual tour around Gen Con. I called her Robo Ray. I think somewhere along the line she called herself Robo Ray.
Or Cyborg Ray or something to that effect. On the CGE Twitch stream, they did had like a steady cam vest rig thing.
So she looked a bit like a robot.
She looked a bit like a robot, and she was wandering around the convention hall, shoving a camera in people's faces and saying, "We're alive!"
And I'm going to ask Jamie to please send this podcast to her, because I want to say to you, Ray, specifically, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, really thank you, because it was so wonderful just to follow you around and go down. I enjoyed the artist alley, I must say.
We only caught the last, because I actually forgot. We watched this last year. They did the same thing, and I completely forgot about it until like 1
Sunday.
hour until the end of the show. So we only caught the last little bit actually live, and then we went back and watched some other bits because they keep it's all there on their Twitch stream. I'll leave a link to their channel in the description below.
Well, that'll be nice, because then other people can go and watch it after the fact. I would highly recommend it because it was really fun. In fact, we watched another YouTuber. Last night we watched a video, and the person who was sharing on that YouTube video was saying, "We didn't make it to Gen Con, boo-hoo." So that person can go and watch Robo Ray. Anyway, it was really wonderful. You jumped onto the Twitch stream, didn't you? And said a few
right
things.
at the end, that last hour or so when they were meandering around Artist Alley.
Artist Alley. Oh, no, I thank you, Ray, again. Really, it was very, very, very good to be able to go after the fact, because we only got the last bit. And so then we went back and watched them all from the beginning.
Well, not all, because all is about 18 hours of live streaming.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, it felt like all, sorry. We did do a lot of traveling around Gen Con with Ray. So that was fun.
And they're hoping to do the same thing at Essen. They mentioned that they're going to try
CGE.
they're going to try and get the rig together and all the tech working. So hopefully Essen 2023, they will have on the CGE Twitch channel a live stream Robo Ray walking the halls of Essen.
And let's not forget it this time.
I have made sure I have notifications turned on now.
Okay, and what is the dates? Do you know? Somewhere in October, I think.
October sometime. I don't know the exact dates.
We've got some family things happening then, so let's hope there's not a clash. But Ray, please do it. Here you have some South Africans sitting here that are highly appreciative of all the trouble. It was really worth it to us, so thank you. It really made up for our Gen Con weekend. We also played board games, because of course.
Well, yeah, it's not a Gen Con weekend if you don't play board games.
No, well, in fact, every day is a board game day, I think. Not that we get to playing board games every day, because things happen.
I try, but
you do try.
Life gets in the way.
And in the previous podcast, I spoke about how I had bailed from Jaws of the Lion, Gloomhaven, and Jamie has continued on that with playing solo.
Yeah.
How's that been going?
Pretty well. I'm still figuring it out. It's taking quite a bit to get my brain to click into gear with the card play and all that. And also I'm figuring out which characters work best in a solo playthrough. So I've only played up to the end of scenario 5. So basically I've finished playing the tutorial.
The tutorial.
So now going forward it will be playing the actual proper sessions.
And what are your thoughts about me bailing at this stage after you've played the next few on your own?
Probably good that you bailed when you did.
That's what I thought. So, yeah. Well, you're going to carry on with that, and we'll talk about it again in another podcast.
Circle back to it in a future podcast once I've played more than 5 scenarios and I've figured out which characters actually work well together.
So you've been working on that, looking at that and seeing.
Basically, it would probably work best with 4 players playing all 4 characters.
Okay.
Or if you have the mental capacity, playing all 4 characters solo.
Oh, that would be nice.
Which would be best for the game, but not necessarily good for my brain
at the moment. But maybe
that's just too much admin.
Maybe you'll get to that. Games are all about enjoying it. If you're not going to enjoy it with 4 characters, well, then do 2.
In general, I prefer playing just a single character if I can with that sort of game. I like to just focus on my one character and leveling them up and getting their skills and their items. So splitting my brain in half for 2 different people
and
gets a little tricky.
Talking about brains and brain burn, we've discovered that I'm in a particular season at the moment where there's a lot of stuff going on that requires a lot of my responsibility. So board games have to be light and breezy. But I don't necessarily, it's not my preferred game to play light and breezy, but we've been doing that because that's what is required for me at the moment, because I can't do brain burn stuff with board games. So we've been taking out our games like Fairy Tale. That's just so fun. It's such a cute little game. Tell them a little bit about Fairy Tale, Jamie.
It's designed by Matthew Dunstan and Brett J. Gilbert, and it's basically a little abstract chess-like tile-laying type game. Basically where you've got 3 miniatures on the board. You've got a dragon,
cute.
and you've got a knight, and you've got a princess. And you have a card in your hand that tells you that the dragon and the princess must meet on the river. And so now you have to try and coordinate it so that the dragon and the princess meet on the river. And they all have, each miniature has its own movement rules for how it can navigate on the board.
And my card might be saying that the princess and the knight must meet in the mountains.
So I'll move the princess 1 space towards the river, and then Mom will move the princess 1 space back towards the mountains, and then I'll move the princess towards the river, and then...
And then we realize, okay, this isn't working. Let me rather focus on moving the knight. Let's see what happens. And then that works because Jamie needs to move the dragon to the princess on the river, and I need to move the might. I need to move the knight towards the mountains. Anyway, we could go on about explaining it, and I'm sure you know what to do. You just go to YouTube and look it up. What's it called? Fairy Tale. How you keep all these people's names in your head. By the way, Jamie didn't look it up on his Oracle. What are the designers' names?
Matthew Dunstan and Brett J. Gilbert.
There we go. So people can go and look it up.
Same design team who did Professor Evil and the Citadel of Time.
Oh, that's a cooperative game.
Which is a completely different type of game. So they've got a very wide design pedigree. And I've done a video for that one.
You haven't done for Fairy Tale?
No, not for Fairy Tale, but for Professor Evil and the Citadel of Time. I've done a solo playthrough. Again, controlling 2 characters. But much less admin in that one.
That is such a beautiful game. It's got a steampunky type of look. Fairy Tale doesn't. Fairy Tale's pretty.
Yeah, it's very typical
tile laying
fairy tale art style.
Yes,
look.
It is actually. It's really sweet. Very different to Professor Evil and the Citadel of Time. And I've enjoyed that game. It's a cooperative game. In case you don't know, cooperative games are my favorite.
Professor Evil and the Citadel of Time is a co-op, not Fairy Tale.
No. Okay, yeah.
Fairy Tale is like a race, basically. You divide the deck equally amongst all the players, and the first person to finish all their objective cards wins.
And then they tell the story. Because the cards you have tell a story at the end of the game. It's quite fun, actually.
And you can tell the story written on the cards, or as what happened the last time we played. We were playing with our good friend Simon, who's done a couple of videos for the channel on his Read the Card series. And the story we were telling there was very much not the story written on the cards. We were making up all our own things as we went.
Simon's very good at doing. We want to get more Simon videos on the channel.
That's the hope. There is one coming in the
Future.
at some point once it gets edited.
We want more of Simon because he is rather entertaining. The other game we've played, which is another lighter game, which I've enjoyed a lot more than I thought I would, and that is Seven Bridges, because it's a roll and write game. And I didn't think I was a roll and write game fan. I've discovered I actually really like this Seven Bridges. It was a surprise game that came our way, in fact. So it wasn't one that we reviewed thoroughly and went and found and got it and we're excited about it. It was just a surprise, and we played it, and even more surprise. Such an enjoyable game.
And another one that can be played solo.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a very clever design. It's basically set in the city of Königsberg in Germany. And the city is apparently famous for these 7 bridges, which there's some mathematical formula that's proven it's impossible to traverse the city and cross all 7 bridges without crossing the same one twice or something.
And this is all historic fact.
Yeah,
it's got a nice
historic
based in history story behind it. Which
the game's
is nice.
actually designed by a professional cartographer.
Oh.
He actually draws, for a living, he draws, geographically accurate city maps and things. So the map you're rolling and writing on is actually an accurate representation of Königsberg. You could actually use it as a map of the city to go exploring.
Wow. Now, you see why I like having James in on these podcasts, because he brings in all this other information which I didn't have and I don't have, and it doesn't stay in my mind because, as I mentioned, I'm playing the lighter weight games at the moment. So that could also be why Jaws of the Lion was not a good fit for me at this time. Maybe if I visit it later on when I'm not dealing with all other things.
Maybe.
However...
And once I know it better and I can guide you through.
Yeah, and I say however because it is times, every season changes. And so this particular season, I'm veering more towards the lighter games, which is fun because we're getting them off the shelf and onto the table. But I also can't keep away from Seventh Continent for too long. So we have
Keeps calling us back.
Yep. I don't even know how many hours yet. Maybe it's
north of 60.
Wow. So we love Seventh Continent. Have you done a video for Seventh Continent? I don't think so.
I have not, because
spoilers.
It's very hard to do a video for it without spoiling stuff. So I either need to make a video that just says spoiler warning and then do a playthrough, because just doing an overview doesn't really do the game justice. You have to show it in action.
But how can people know about it? Those who are listening that don't know about Seventh Continent?
By watching one of the dozens of other videos already out there on the internet.
No, but what website do they go to for Seventh Continent? Isn't it?
Oh, they've got their own. It's Serious Pulp is
That's
the
right.
publishing house. They are based in France. It's Serious and then Poulp. So it's like pulp fiction, kind of. It's a
Okay.
play on that. So it's Serious Pulp.
2 different
is the
words.
yeah.
Separated, yeah.
So their website is seriouspulp.com or something. And then, you can find Seventh Continent there. You can get the classic edition, which is the one we've got. And then they've also got all the different little expansion bits and things added on.
Well, what I want to talk about Seventh Continent and why I like it is because it's adventure, exploration, survival. And not much. In fact, we decided we don't think there's any combat. No, none. There's no combat.
Virtually none. You get
No,
the
there isn't.
occasional
No, you got to go hunting.
Yeah.
You got to
So you
go
get
hunting.
the occasional, slightly more aggressive than normal creature.
Yes.
But the combat is basically
You and a
flip
bear
over
or
cards
something.
and you win or you lose. It's
Yeah.
So it's
And it's those elements of the game is what really attracts me to it. It's cooperative, it's adventure, exploration, it's survival. It's all the things that we have discovered over the years of playing more and more board games. You get to know the things that really tick all the boxes for you as an individual. That's what we've discovered, especially with our Shelves of Ambition mission, which is our 2023 goal, is to take all the games that we haven't played up to 10, to play them up to 10 times, as we have been sharing on the previous podcasts, all about our Shelves of Ambition. And that's one thing we've discovered, hey, is we're starting to really fine-tune our preferences. because of playing the same games repeatedly.
Over and over. Yeah. It helps you
Define.
narrow down what it is you actually like about the different games.
Unless you're Jamie, who just likes all the games.
Pretty much.
But you do also have some preferences that you veer away from certain games and more to others.
Yeah, but I'm pretty much game for almost anything.
Yeah.
I like keeping a very open mind and playing all sorts of different stuff. Even if a game has like a theme I'm not particularly fond of, if there's a good game underneath it, I'll play the good game. Or if there's a theme that I really like, but the game itself isn't so great, I'll forgive the not so great game because the theme is something I'm enjoying. So I do like to keep a more open mind, but yeah, I also think it's good to narrow down and focus in on what it is that we like. As what I'm finding with the Shelves of Ambition is us together as a gaming group, if you can call two people a group.
I think so. Let's call it a group.
Our gaming group of two, we're working out what we like playing together.
Yes, that's true.
Because I think that's very different. There are certain games that, for instance, I'll play with Simon, and we'll have a tremendous amount of fun that are games you just wouldn't enjoy. Or games that we'll play with the three of us. For instance, Fairy Tile.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Fairy Tile was a lot of fun with three of us. I think with two, it's much more of a head-to-head sort of battle of wits with
When there's two
players. Whereas with three players, there's a bit more randomness. There's a bit more chaos.
And I know that I'm much more particular. You know, there's games that I just won't play, and that's fine. I also enjoy watching games being played. I love watching the videos of other people playing games. I found a lot of pleasure in that part of the hobby as well. I don't have to be playing the game. I found that when we had TBGS weekends, if the people were playing a game I wasn't too fond of, I was quite happy to sit out and just enjoy them playing the game.
Just spectate.
Yeah, I like that. I get a lot of pleasure in this hobby on all different levels. You know, even the catering part. I like catering for the board game weekends. We've been talking about our next board game weekend and some ideas of marathons and so on. And my mind, of course, goes straight away to the catering of that. Okay, let's think about how we're going to do that. What's the best thing we can do to cater for people that are going to be doing a marathon board game weekend? So we'll talk about that when it happens. That's what these podcasts are all about, is just chatting to you about our experience of playing board games and this hobby. And it only gets better for us. We enjoy it more and more and more with every passing year. If I think I've been playing board games since I was a child.
Yep.
And you
I've
too?
been, playing board games for as long as I can remember. We've always had any number of board games in the house at any given time.
Well, as a family, we always had dedicated board game nights. So that was kind of part of your upbringing. So that's been fun. And now we just gotten to the more adult type board game playing. So that's been interesting. It's a whole new season.
And since the dawn of solo games, every night is game night.
You don't have to wait for people to come that are available and ready to play a game. Yeah, that is true. You play board games every day, just about.
Virtually, yeah. I try to get something in every day if I can.
Sure, that's wonderful.
Even if it's a 10-minute fuller roll and write something.
Yeah,
Jamie's like a Rolling Realms.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're going through the Rolling Realms holes, they call them. Hey, it's like a golf course or something. How's that going?
It's called Solitaire Minigolf. It's a little variant they included in the Rolling Realms box, where it gives you 3 different realms to play each time on each hole, and then you have like a particular scoring objective that you have to meet, as opposed to just playing it, because you can just play it normal solo, where you just play the normal game, which is played over 3 rounds of 3 realms each, and then you try to just beat your highest score. Or you can play this Solitaire Minigolf, where it gives you a very specific objective for each hole.
Right.
And if you want to see it in action, I'm actually doing a playthrough series on the channel where I'm taking each hole.
And that is 18 videos,
Yep.
because I think you're on hole 9 or something. Or you passed halfway, I think, at the moment.
I've filmed past halfway. Past halfway isn't necessarily out in the world yet.
Okay, so you're
I
putting
think
one
I
up a week,
filmed
aren't
up
you?
to,
Yeah.
I filmed up to like 12 or 13. And then, they're coming out one a week until eventually all 18 are done.
Well, so as to not make people jealous, but sorry to say, I don't want you to get jealous, but actually, Jamie's in a very privileged situation at the moment in the season of his life because he doesn't have a whole lot of responsibilities. Like, for example, he's not a dad, so he doesn't have to be considering all the things that dads must consider of their children and bedtime and stories and bath and he can just play solo board games in the evening. How about that? So I said, I don't mean to make you jealous, but this is his reality at the moment. And because of that, he's making the most of this opportunity, which I think is great because then you can share it with others. Just think, you can, those 18 videos for Rolling Realms, you can put them out there and other people can enjoy them.
Yeah, and being able to share it in that way, being able to not just sit at home and play games by myself. I can do it in front of a camera and then I can share it with people and it can help people to play that game themselves.
Yeah.
That's kind of the recurring theme I'm hearing in comments and things is how people are finding the videos helpful to help them get that game to the table.
Oh, fantastic.
Because maybe they're struggling with the rule book, maybe they haven't quite figured out how the solo mode works versus the multiplayer game, and then watching that playthrough. Because, I know I do this all the time. If I've got a new game, even if I've read the rulebook and I think I understand everything, I'll still go watch a playthrough or an instructional video or something to just cement what it is that I've learned.
And I love watching your videos and other people's videos. Like I always say thank you to Rodney because his were the very first videos we started watching. Rodney from Watch It Played. When we discovered him, we watched a lot of his teaching us to play. And not
even if we weren't learning the game, we just watched them because we enjoyed them.
Yeah, but when I say then, we still now. When we went to play Jaws of the Lion, we went and watched Rodney's tutorials.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. But what I like about your tutorials is the fact that, and it is what other people have said, so it's not just your mother being pleased with what you're doing. Other people have also commented on how clear they are and how informative and instructional they are, which I know you quite like bringing all variety to the TBGS YouTube channel, a variety of different elements of this hobby. And that's why we like to bring Simon in because he's quite entertaining. But your style is one of being a very good teacher. It just took Jamie a bit of time, to get used to.
It took me a while to come to terms with that, yeah.
Because it wasn't your ideal for yourself, hey? Is that right?
Well, no, I wanted the channel to be more focused on the entertainment, the fun, the sort of lightheartedness of the hobby.
But yet
Whereas
your videos help
my videos
people.
Bring the instruction and the clarity and the
A little bit
direction.
more serious.
And because that's just what I do,
And it's who you are.
Yeah.
You're just more
I'm the
serious.
rules guy. When we're playing a board game, I'm the one, can you do that? Let me check the rules.
In fact, we were playing a game yesterday. It's called Mechs versus Minions. I don't like to talk about it too much because it's a very difficult game for people to get. But what
think
a
you can still get it from-
magnificent production. It's hard to beat that.
Yeah. I think it's still available from the Riot Games website. That's where we got ours.
And we were having a really hard time with this game. My goodness. And then Jamie says, this is really difficult. Let me check the rule book. And in that instance, I say, yes, Jamie, check the rule book in case we're missing something and we're making it harder on ourselves. But when he wants to go check the rule book to check we're doing something that's making it easier, I'm not as much a fan for him to go check the rule book. But he is so particular about we do according to the rules.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Well, the designer has sweated over this game for many, many years. The least we can do is respect and honor their decisions.
And I'm one of those house rule people. Let's make a house rule for this one. Let's play on easy. Why isn't there an easier mode? That's me. So we tend to bring it to the middle somehow. Yeah,
we
which
somehow
is good.
balance each other out.
Yeah. So that is it for our podcast this week, I think. Unless you've got more you want to talk about?
No, I think that covers it all
Oh, goody.
for now.
Okay.
There will be more to talk about in the future, I'm sure.
Yes, next week. And for now, thank you for listening. If you want to go and watch any of Jamie's videos, just go to YouTube and go to that Board Game Show YouTube channel, and maybe you want to watch some of the Rolling Realms videos. But otherwise, thank you for listening. We appreciate your ears and spending time with us. It's really, really wonderful. Glad you could join us. Until next time then, I'm off to make tea.
And with that, I'll say thank you ever so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show.